We are on a countdown to the start of 2025, and I want to give you the information on how you can become the best version of yourself going into that year. And each week, we are going to gather here today so that you can learn the tips and the tricks and the tools that you can incorporate into your own life so that you can truly step into this ideal version of yourself. It doesn't matter what age you are either. This is one of the questions that I have actually received a couple times is, hey, what do I do? Do I still follow the same stuff if I'm over the age of 35 or if I'm over 40 or if I'm over 60? And yes, this is the same process. You are never too late. As long as you have life in you, you are not too late and it is time to get going. So I want to welcome you to Unleashing Happiness. I am your host, Cecilia Hendricks. And like always, I am super excited that you're here and I am super excited to get into today's topic. This is week 3 of our countdown to 2025. And today we're going to be talking about your perspective, setting intentions, and then also creating a meditation practice. I gave that list a little out of order, but that's okay. Those are still the topics that we're going to be going over. I started a meditation practice many years ago. And one of the things that I realized when I was going into it is that oftentimes I was trying to either completely shut off my mind or I was allowing my mind to run wild with daydreaming, essentially, is kind of what it was. And I just never really got the information of what meditation truly was or how I could incorporate it into my life without it really taking over. I didn't want these things, any of this stuff that I'm teaching, I didn't want any of it to feel like it was something that I did in order to get something else. I wanted to actually make lifestyle changes and completely transform my own life into being this type of person that I wanted to be. And I kept finding myself through all of this that I was finding pockets of time where I was like, well, if I do this right now, then maybe tomorrow I'll feel better. And yes, while that is actually true, the purpose though of doing anything, meditation, visualization, writing, scripting, any of it is so that you can feel good right now. It's creating the gratitude, the joy, the happiness, the fulfillment of life in you right now versus trying to do it so that you'll have that tomorrow. Meditation is no different. Although when you start, it may be like, well, I have to do this now so that I'll feel better later, or I need to practice to get better. Eventually, you should find yourself where, no, I'm doing this right now because it feels nice right now. Yes, there are some added benefits, like it's going to boost your energy levels. You're going to improve your stress management. You can enhance creativity. Your overall health will actually get better, plus many other benefits. But in that moment, it's so that you can reflect and go internally into who you are. And it'll actually help you start to shift the perspectives that you have about the world around you and the way that you're seeing these events happening around you. So if you're finding yourself feeling slightly overwhelmed, maybe unfulfilled, it's like, hey, every day I have so much on my plate. I don't know how to incorporate this into my life, right? I don't know how to actually put these practices into my life that make sense. That's not just adding something else to my to-do list. And while I'm going to be perfectly honest that at first it might just seem like another to-do list item, the benefits that you'll get from that are totally worth it. And what ends up happening as you bring all these things together is that your life does start to feel better. You don't have the overwhelm. You're able to handle stress more. You're able to communicate your needs actually better because you actually know what those needs are. And you end up building the self-worth and the self-confidence to say, I deserve to have those needs met. I deserve to be seen as a human being. I deserve to take care of myself while I'm taking care of everyone else. And not only do you deserve these things, but you truly actually need these things. By doing this for yourself, you end up being able to show up more for those that you take care of, right? So I'm a caregiver for my mother. It's not that she needs constant care or anything like that, but I definitely help her get around. I help her get into her doctor's appointments. I help make sure that she is taking care of herself on a day-to-day basis, that she has people that are around her so she's not alone, she has social activities, etc. And I truly enjoy those moments with my mother. I'm happy that I get to have this relationship with her and get to spend that time with her. But if I was constantly burnt out because I wasn't taking care of myself and I wasn't communicating my needs within my marriage or other relationships that I have, I would not be enjoying this time. I would just feel like it was something else that I had to do. This goes for things with my kids as well. I'm able to tell my children what I can and cannot do for them. I'm able to say, hey, this is actually going to be my time. They know when I'm reading, like, that's my time. Are they going to come talk to me? Of course they are, right? They're kids or teen boys that live at home. They're always going to come talk to me, which is I'm totally fine with. I love that. I appreciate that. I like having that relationship. And the reason why I'm able to show up in the ways that I show up is because I take care of myself. And this can start with a meditation practice. And the best thing about meditation is that truly you can do this in 5 minutes. I actually recommend that you start with 5-minute timers, 5 to 10, right? And so I'm going to walk you through a couple different processes of what you can do to begin a meditation process. This one is for just you. It's not really guided. So I'm going to give you the steps. If you want to write those out, you definitely can. I actually have a free journal that lists these out as well, and then goes into some questions so that you can identify the things that you want in your life. I'll leave a link down for that below. So if you are interested, you can grab that journal. It'll give you this calming technique, the first one I'm going to do, but I'm going to give you a couple in this episode. And then it gives you some questions so that you can start to identify what your actual needs are and your wants, right? Like, it's not just needs, it's your desires. How do I want to be treated? What kind of life do I want to lead? How do I want to feel when I go to bed at night? So again, that link will be down below if you're interested. So the first one that we're going to do is we're going to take a deep breath in through our nose. Hold it at the top. It's essentially like you'll feel like you're holding it in the top of your head. Then you'll take another quick breath in through your nose. It'll feel like your lungs have no more space for air, right? Like there's nothing. And then you're going to hold it for about a second and release it slowly through your mouth. This is called a psychological breath. It is the number one thing that I recommend that you start training yourself to do when you're overwhelmed. And by training yourself to do, I mean start doing it in small moments. Do it a few times a day while you're cooking dinner. Of course, like what we're talking about now, when you're getting ready to sit down and do a meditation practice. If someone cuts you off in traffic, do this breath. If you get frustrated with somebody at work, do this breath. The more that you teach yourself in these like quote unquote smaller stressful moments to calm yourself, this breath actually tells your nervous system, we are safe, we are okay. The more likely you are to do it subconsciously. You've like trained yourself. So you're teaching your brain how to do this to calm yourself. So subconsciously, you'll start to do it in the higher stress moments as well. So at this point, you should have a timer set for either 5 to 10 minutes. Sitting down is what I recommend, feet planted on the floor, although you can also sit with them crossed in your lap. Take the breath. Do it like between 1 to 3 times until you just feel like you're slightly calm. Like you just kind of relaxed. You can actually feel your body calming itself. Then I want you to just take a moment to take in how you feel sitting there, right? So pay attention to what it feels like while you're sitting there, just for a split moment. Then start to breathe regularly and pay attention to that breath. Now, here's the key in meditation. Your mind is going to wander. That does not mean that you failed. It just means now that you are improving your meta-awareness by noticing that your mind is wandering. So each time that it wanders, it's like, man, this is great. This is my opportunity to focus on my meta-awareness and bring it back to my breath. And that's all you're going to do. Every time your mind wanders, you're just going to reflect back on your breath until that timer goes off. And it's going to wander. And especially when you're getting started, if you're anything like me, my mind was like, no, we're going to think about this. And I'm like, no, not right now. We're going to think about that in a minute. We're going to focus on our breath. And so I would just pay attention to where I could feel the breath entering my body and where I could feel it exiting my body. A lot of times I felt that in the tip of my nose and then also in my chest, right? So I would like pay attention to where that breath was traveling throughout my body. And you're just going to do that until the timer stops. And you're going to do this every day, sometimes as much as 3 times a day. Really, when it's taking only 5 minutes, you can sit in your car. Let's say you're getting out of work. You can sit in your car for those 5 minutes and do this breathing before you take off to go spend your evening at home. Now, the second way that you can do this, and you can find which one works for you, right? So a lot of times there's people who focus really well internally, like focusing on their breath. And then this one is going to give you something externally to focus on. So again, you're going to set a timer, and then we're going to learn about box breathing. So box breathing is taking a breath in through your nose for a count of about 4 to 6, depending on what feels good to you. And then you're going to hold it for a count of 4 to 6. Then you're going to release through your mouth for a count of 4 to 6. Hold for 4 to 6, and then do it again. And you'll do these a couple of times. And then instead of focusing on your breath internally, I want you to either, if you don't have your eyes closed all the way, like if you like to keep them open slightly, I want you to focus, not directly, but semi-focus on something in front of you, right? Like maybe it is a vase with a flower in it, or it's a bird outside the window. And I want you to just see the things that you can see. The other one, if you like to have your eyes closed, is pay attention to the sounds that you can hear. Spend those next 5 to 10 minutes just taking in the sounds. So sometimes people, like myself, like to focus internally. Some other folks tend to do better when they focus externally. You can also then do a scan of your body if you're somebody who prefers to do more of an external focus. What can you feel with your body? Start at your feet. Are your feet planted on the ground? What does that feel like on the bottom of your feet? Can you wiggle your toes? What does that feel like? Now come up to like the backs of your legs. What are the backs of your legs feeling right now? So you can use these external senses that you have to just do a scan of your whole environment for those 5 to 10 minutes. As your mind wanders, just bring it back and start again. That's all you have to do. The meta-awareness is the key here. It's saying, I am wandering, I'm going to come back to this moment. Now, what I mentioned earlier is that this starts to shift your perspective. The reason is that every time that you do something new like this, your brain is actually making new connections, right? Like your brain is saying, okay, there's a connection here to make. And the more that you return to it, the more you're going to solidify and create this connection that you don't really have to think about. And that connection can be calming. That connection can say, oh, what is in my external environment that I want to pay attention to? What is going on internally that I want to pay attention to? And the way that this shifts your perspective is because it's actually opening your mind to other things than what you've been paying attention to. So maybe currently you find yourself being very overwhelmed, right? And the things that you're paying attention to is that your boss is always getting on you about something. Your husband is not supporting you at home the way that you want him to be. Your house is completely trashed. You're behind on laundry and you feel like you're not spending enough time with your kids. Well, by taking this internal time, you are actually teaching yourself how to be calm and start to pay attention to other things happening around in your environment. And this is the way you can start improving relationships. Are there things at work that have actually been going better than what you've been giving them credit for? Does your boss maybe actually give you advice that is helpful? Do you have a coworker who really looks up to you or mentors you? Do you have a project that you're doing really fantastic on? Does your husband sometimes not help out as much as you would like at home, but he is very attentive to your emotional needs? So is this an area of opportunity that you can talk to him about the other help you really need at home so that you don't feel so overwhelmed? Can you carve out time to not be on your phone or not watch TV to instead spend time with your children? Or are you giving too much of yourself and you need to include something self-care like taking a bath at night or sitting down and reading a book or watching a show at night so that you have time for yourself? These are those key moments that the more that you start to pay attention to, the more that your mind starts to expand and show you the opportunities for what it is you want to build in your life. That's why that journal is really good. And the first episode of this series is really good. That was 2 weeks ago, is because it's important to know what you actually want. Do you want more time for yourself? Do you want to further your career? Do you want to improve your relationships? Knowing what you actually want, not what the world tells you should want, but what you truly want and how you actually want to feel is the best starting point. So if you've not listened to that episode, make sure that you definitely go back and listen. The episode is titled Become Who You Want to Be Before the New Year. When you don't know what you truly want, you end up kind of going in a spiral, right? Like you might say, well, I really need to do XYZ. But what I really want is truly just to feel more confident, just to love myself, to feel more fulfilled. And you can find those things. That's totally fine. And as you find those, you'll actually start to improve many other areas of your life. This is self-development. This is actually looking ahead and making sure that you're becoming this person that you want to be. Because it all starts with you. And I know that sometimes that sounds really cheesy. And it's like when you really want to make some drastic changes to your life, that can feel almost daunting. At least it did for me, where I was like, man, I don't want to start with me because I want everything to change like right now. And there's always something that's going to change. We're always building, we're always growing, we're always including something more into our lives, right? Like we don't really end. Even when you get to an event, like people say that the journey is like really what it's all about, right? Like this path that you're on is really what it's all about. And the reason is because even when we get to that end thing, now there's something else. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like this is part of being human. This is part of expanding and enjoying your life, is having something else to work towards. So learn how to begin to enjoy this moment, the moment that you're in, because as cheesy as it sounds and as kind of ridiculous as sometimes it sounds, truly the only moment you ever have is the one right now. If you're reflecting on the past, your memories are definitely skewed. They're skewed based on the state and the identity that you currently hold. And if you're looking ahead only to the future, you're constantly projecting. And the only way that you're going to get there is by making changes in this present moment. You have to look at how you feel right now. I had a wonderful friend that I spoke to for like 2 hours a couple nights ago, and we were having some discussions about family and just family dynamics, right? And one of the things that she said to me has really stuck with me. It's been living rent-free in my head ever since she said it. And she is a brilliant, brilliant woman. I am so thankful to have met her and to have her in my life. She's one of those people that you just meet and you're like, you are absolutely amazing. And what she said to me was that you have to look at the behavior as it is right now. That being in the present moment isn't just some spiritual thing. It's about looking at the behaviors as they exist in this moment. So if you're having an issue with somebody, you don't really want to look at how they were in the past. You don't want to imagine how you want it to be or you think it'll be in the future, but instead what's happening right now. And I realize that this even goes for ourselves. How am I behaving right now in this moment? Does it actually connect to the type of life that I want to lead? And this is how you actually begin to set intentions. Setting intentions doesn't have to be written out. It doesn't have to be said. You don't have to meditate on it. It's truly looking, although all those things are great, do not get me wrong, but it's looking at your behavior right now. So when you set an intention, you're saying, this is what I want to have happen. This is what I want to focus on. I intend to do these things. But what are you doing? What is your current behavior right now? And this goes for relationships. What is your current outlook on XYZ person? If it's your spouse, what is it that you're focusing on? And I'm not saying that you should not want to have improvements out of the people around you. That if you're not getting the love and the care and the support that you need out of whatever relationships you have, whether it's friendship, your parents, your spouse, your children, that's not something that you can improve on. But I also want you to start looking at the way that you're viewing it right now. What are your outlooks on these relationships? How do you feel about yourself in this moment as it relates to that relationship? Because the more that you improve yourself, the more the relationships around you begin to improve. It's like that mirror theory. This is how it connects to like a law of assumption or law of attraction. What you put out truly from the inside of you, the internal feelings that you have, the beliefs, the assumptions that you make, is what gets reflected back to you in the world. I like to look at my week ahead, right? I like to spend Sunday thinking, okay, these are the goals that I want. This is what I want to end up having happen. This is the goal that I have. What are my behaviors that align to that goal? It's kind of like my business, right? I want to expand my business. I really, truly want as many people as possible that this will help, that it gets to them. And there are certain steps that I can do to make sure that the message is heard by more people. So the more that I focus on that, I want to take the action that aligns to that. I believe that miracles happen every day. Do not get me wrong. And I think that's what happens when Neville Goddard talks about not having to actually do anything. You don't have to lift a finger. I believe that means that you don't have to lift a finger to try to force a change. I'm not trying to force a manifestation to come into my life. I'm setting my intention and I'm following what feels natural to get there. So if my intention is to make sure that my content reaches as many people as it could possibly help, well, then I feel like I need to make content. And I want to make content. I enjoy making the content. So those are the things. I'm acting on my highest passion. I'm acting on the things that I actually enjoy. If you're a Bashar follower, he talks about that quite a lot. So I want to align to those actions because I have the intention of becoming this person. I have the intention of embodying that person right now. I have the intention of being the person that I want to be. Setting intentions is a constant kind of thing that you're doing. You're setting your intentions with your behaviors. You're setting your intentions with your habits and your actions. When you act out of alignment of the person that you want to be, and I'm going to give an example here in a moment, you are setting the intention that that is not who you are. You are setting the intention that's not what you want in life. And I'm going to give an example. It's like, let's say that you want to increase your self-confidence in the way that you care about yourself, right? In the way that you talk about yourself. And your intention is to treat yourself better. Like truly, it's starting with you and you want an improved confidence. You want to feel better about yourself. But then in that moment, you catch yourself talking really poorly to yourself, telling yourself all the things that you do wrong, how messy things are, you can't keep up, you're overwhelmed, you're tired, you look like crap. Well, right then in that moment, especially once you catch it and you continue it, you're intending to remain the way you are now because that's where you're putting your focus. That's where you're putting your intention. Now, if you say, hey, you know what? I wanted to change this. How can I catch myself, which is meta awareness, which is why you practice meditation so that you can catch yourself in those moments. And those moments are going to happen. I still have them. They don't go away. And I say, wait a minute. No, we're not doing this. I'm going to catch my behavior in this present moment. I'm going to see how I'm behaving right now, because right now is all that truly matters. And then I'm going to say, no, we're not going to do this. And I'm going to fall back on my tools that you're hopefully learning here to say, I'm going to improve the way I'm talking about myself right now. And at first it might feel super awkward. You're like, man, I'm going to start telling myself some nice things about myself. And I would begin with things that you believe. What are some things that you appreciate about yourself? And I'm telling you, and I've worked with many clients who are like, I don't think there's anything. We can always find something. Even on the smallest of scales, you can find something. Did you feed your dog this morning? So you're kind. You take care of animals. Did you hold the door open for somebody as they were walking into the grocery store? That also shows kindness. Did you let somebody take a parking spot because it would be a little bit closer for them and you noticed they were elderly? That's also kindness. And of course, I lean on kindness because that's one that I tend to find in myself quite a lot. I think I'm a very kind person. But you could also find something of like, oh, I told this like awesome joke at the water cooler at work and made people laugh, so I'm funny. Or I really like the way my toes look. I'm not going to lie, you can use that one as well. Or I've got fantastic eyes. Whatever it is, but when you catch yourself in that moment, the meta awareness is bringing you back and now you're treating yourself well, which means now your intention in this moment, your behavior, your habit, your routine that you're going to change in this moment is one reflective of self-love. And then your intention is that you love yourself. Your intention is that you're going to become more self-confident. Your intention is that you're going to improve the concept that you hold of yourself. And so this is your key for this week, or this is your activity for this week. I want you to set up a meditation practice that you're doing at least once per day. I want you to start practicing breathing in small, stressful moments so that you can teach yourself how to calm as you are going through your day, right? If something big happens or something small, right? I don't want to label stuff big or small because it really depends on where you are in your life, but I do use those words because I think they make sense to a lot of people. I also want to encourage you to start seeing other perspectives around you. So if you're upset with your boss, is there something at work that is more positive or aligned with the way that you would like work to go that you can focus on, or at least pay attention to, just note it, right? Like, oh, this happened, I don't like it, but this also is happening and I like it. So if that doesn't make sense, you can leave a comment below. If you're on YouTube, send me an email, unleashinghappiness@ceciliahendricks.com. Always happy to answer questions. And then the final one for this week is I want you to start paying attention to your intentions you're setting in each moment. So as you look at your behavior, the things that you're doing, whether that's a physical behavior or a mental and emotional behavior, I want you to start asking yourself, what intention am I setting right now? And is it the one I want to continue with? And here's the thing, if you're sad and you're mad and you are talking to yourself bad and you're like, yeah, I want to keep this going. I want to do this. This is the intention I want to set. By all means, this is your life. But if not, then I want you to catch yourself and just start paying attention and say, hey, this is not actually the intention I want to set. This is not what I want to continue in my life. This is not how I want to continue to feel. This is not how I want to feel when I go to bed. So I'm going to change this right now. So I hope you found this helpful. Again, if you have any questions or you have anything you want to discuss, you can shoot me an email. It's unleashinghappiness@ceciliahendricks.com. Don't forget, I've got that free journal linked down below. I think you'll find it really helpful. If you have any questions on it after you get it, you can definitely also email me and let me know. And I wish you nothing but the best. Have a beautiful, beautiful week.